This week on New to You, Do-Gooders, Part 1, Richard Wayman. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the New to You show. We are into our third topic of our third season. You've got, right?
Yeah.
You would know these things. You got the book.
That's true. It's third topic
I'm
of our
just
third
trusting
season,
you.
gang.
Yeah, there we go.
So I am one of your hosts, John Holt. With me is
Keith Allen Vincent.
Julian Cage.
and our guest.
Matt Rodriguez.
All right, welcome
Welcome
back,
back, Matt.
Yeah, welcome.
for inviting
New
me again.
season.
Yeah. So
friend.
just so y'all know out there in listener land, if we accidentally slip up and call Matt Mr. that's just to be expected. That's kind of what we've known him as for years and years. So if you hear us say Mr. or Mr., we're referring to Matt Rodriguez.
Or Matthewito.
My
Yeah,
mom refers to me as Mr. sometimes.
Perfect.
And my wife.
Yeah.
And my pet dog. And,
Your mom refers to you as my pet dog?
no.
All right, so the topic on plate is do-gooders, and I guess we'll kind of let everyone explain away what their thoughts are on do-gooders. What New to You show is a recommendation and review podcast where we look at stuff that people bring to the table under the topic, and we recommend it to you, or we recommend you away from it sometimes. But we are a multimedia podcast.
We expose you to things that,
May
that we
not be
hope
new
are
to you.
new to you.
Yeah. Or even if, again, we say this all the time, even if it's not new to you, maybe you see it in a new way after we talk about it.
I mean, honestly, you go to sites like Reddit or one of those, and
what is that? I never heard of that.
Exactly. So you go to Dig and someone's linked to Reddit and like, look what this new site I found, and that's how you find
I
out
don't know
about
any of
it.
those things.
But usually every year you log on there and somebody's like, look at this hilarious animation I found from the beginning of the internet, and it's like some Flash piece of crap animation that we used to watch on Newgrounds. That it's new to them, and everyone's like, whoa, this is crazy. And
And you're like, wow, I'm so old.
yeah.
You're like, I still remember what strawberry clock is.
Yeah. Strawberry alarm clock. All right.
Yeah.
So, gang, I'm up on deck first with my New to You. So, yeah, let's roll right into it. I've had a pretty long time. Maybe this would be another good one for an obsession episode for me. Is educational documentaries and educational films that they would show in the 40s and 50s and 60s and 70s, and then a little bit into the 80s. Heck, I mean, I still remember watching some in the 90s that usually had like amazing production value and special effects and stuff. But the crux of a lot of these was social engineering, where you were teaching young children how to behave. And a lot of it came out of World War II, where they were teaching a lot of young soldiers how to behave, and that became popular enough that they used it as a way to like curb juvenile delinquency and this sort of threat of the youth by maintaining this like sense of what is proper and like the right white way to do things. So
They're also making a lot of those films as like war propaganda, and also just to organize the war effort, telling people how to ration and how to how to do their part.
Yeah, so it's sort of like newsreel kind of stuff. But after that, you started getting them to sell them. You got them selling them in classrooms and in an educational setting. Some of them were like sex ed kind of stuff. So if you almost get like a more consistent curriculum because you have someone who's like instructive things. Like you can't show someone how photosynthesis works or how plant grows in a classroom, but you can film that in slow time and like show them. Or you can't You may not have the resources to show people what bacterium on a slide look like, but you can film that and then have it. So these sort of like they're sort of non-pedagogic or whatever. They aren't like being pedantic and telling you like this is prescriptive, I guess would be the word. They aren't saying this is how you should act. They're saying here's something in the natural world that had you the resources you could perceive yourself, but we're giving it to you on film, whether in a slideshow or an animated
also,
thing.
Film in a classroom was not something that everybody grew up with at that point. So it was still really cool and novel at that age, at that stage to. And coming from in a lab, if you were trying to look for bacteria, your microscope might not have a really good example, but if you see it on the film, you really get to see the best example that they found.
Right, but the idea being that like more like a classroom having one 16 millimeter projector, 8 millimeter projector is going to be more common than in most schools than them having a classroom full of microscopes or something. So then they kind of, like you're saying, go into the more like social engineering where they're like how to have a date, how to, deal with your menstruation in a social way, how to be clean, how to have right manners and not be rude.
Why drugs are bad for you.
Yeah.
Don't be Mr. Bungle.
Exactly. And in the 40s and 50s, you had a lot more drivers and a lot more cars on the road, and very little to no road driving safety. Just way too many cars for brand new roads and a lot of unpaved roads and roads that weren't engineered for safety. So there's kind of there's a couple of ways that you deal with road safety. You either put the driver in a position where the car is safe and the driver can do certain things to make themselves safe, but there's also ways to make the road safe, like the way you design on-ramps and off-ramps, the way you design barriers. There are ways to do it that reduce damage and increase the chance of survivability.
And also making cars themselves safer or more, so that they protected the drivers more, something that wasn't the case at the time.
Right.
Or just wasn't even a thought.
Yeah.
Wasn't even a thought at the time.
And then you also, as always, you're going to have drunk driving. You just have these big unwieldy things. A lot of them don't have power steering. They're just metal tanks without crush zones. They're basically just going to fall apart and kill you when you get in an accident or kill the person that you hit. And so this guy in Ohio was buddies with the police, and he was like, hey, can I go out with you and take photos of some of these accidents? And he started doing that and started putting together these highway safety slideshows for police officers and for like highway patrol officers in Ohio. And those slideshows went from being just like slide canisters to being this, if you guys have ever done the old film slide where you turn the wheel.
You hear the sound. At the sound, change the slide.
Yeah.
Bing!
So he made those. And then
it's kind of like a slide projector in a way, except with you didn't have to buy new equipment. You could still use your little film projector. You just kind of wind it.
And then what he did, he actually met another woman who was doing the similar kind of photography, Phyllis Vaughn. She was an amateur photographer, and they collaborated and started going out and getting these photos as much as they can of like crime scenes and stuff, and putting them out as safety pamphlets and also publishing them as their own amateur photography. And the police, they were buddies with the police, and they eventually made friends with a local beat reporter who covered crime and accidents. So for this guy, basically you get a call into 911 who then calls the cops and says, hey, there's a signal 30, which means like a dead bodies on the road or whatever, like a fatal car crash. That goes to the cop, then that goes to the ambulance, then it goes to this reporter. That's how the calls go. That's the order. But
they didn't have 911.
Right. Well, yeah.
It was like call your local operator,
call
or whatever,
zero or whatever. But the operator would go through the proper channels, and this guy was the final guy on the list. But he was driving around all the time, and he had a scanner, so he oftentimes would get there before the police would get there. And so he would take photos and document these things. And he was already documenting them for the newspaper, and these guys said, hey, let's kind of team up and do it for this highway safety stuff. And if they were busy, they would all, he would get in there and pull people out too. There's a little bit of that. Really, like Richard Wayman is kind of orchestrating all this stuff. and him and Phyllis say to this reporter guy, hey, start using this film camera. Start shooting film for us. So now he's shooting film of these accidents, and they're pretty horrific. Like, again, you're talking big metal death machines that are just like crunching and crushing people. Like, it's brutal. Sometimes they're alive, and these guys are catching their like last breaths on film. And then they're catching, like, the most horrific stuff is the audio that they catch, because that's like, you can see the pictures, and it's amateur kind of like off the shoulder shooting, kind of reporter style, like 8 and 16 millimeter stuff, but it's the audio that really is horrific. So the other thing too is a lot of the ambulance drivers in town, it's not that the hospitals didn't have ambulances. The 3 in this small town, I think it was in Mansfield, Ohio, it was the coroners that had so the ambulances were hearses, basically, with the sirens and stuff on them. So most of the time these people were dying en route to the hospital or whatever, but it was inevitably a coroner who was picking them up from a mortuary, or from the mortuary, in the mortuary ambulance, taking them to the hospital from the crime or from the crash. So they get all this footage, and they start cutting these highway safety films for the police. Same kind of thing, where they're talking about how do you deal with these situations, how do you make it safe, and then they start cutting their first like film about highway safety, because again, up to this point, a lot of the highway safety films were very like instructional, like stop at a red light. Stuff where, like, one of the very early ones was a dude who had little animated men on his shoulder telling him like go faster, do this, and the other one saying, no, hey, be careful, man, this is a dangerous turn. And eventually he crashes out or whatever. But this was the first, these are real things, this is the real stuff. It's sort of like scared shock stuff, and
shock you into driving smartly.
And you have, like, some states people can be 14 and get their license, especially in like rural Ohio. So just all kinds of people are driving these cars around, and especially at night when there's not road lights or like proper signage or even proper roads in some areas as we know them today. It's and again, no power steering, and who knows if these people are following the rules of the road.
No anti-lock brakes.
And plenty of moonshine or something. I don't know. There's plenty of ways that an accident can happen, and everyone's pretty new to the tech, and the tech is not as like safe for people as it is.
It was
now.
new to them.
That's true.
Well, no, I think too this was an era people were wanting more and more and more power in their cars. So cars kept getting bigger and bigger, more powerful, more fast.
More pointy.
Yeah, that's true. Those fins on the back, that'll cut your head right off.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's kind of, Richard Wayman starts this whole thing. They're putting out all these movies. He starts to branch out. They do like live childbirth movies for instructional things. They start putting out.
So they kept getting the calls from the ambulance, and the reporter goes there and gets there before the dad.
And they eventually bust out. I mean, to the point where Jimmy Hoffa is presenting this one they called like, I don't know, Wheels of Terror or Trunks or Tanks or something like that. But basically, it was a truck driver safety film that they had shot
for the Teamsters.
For truck drivers, kind of teaching, showing them that they should be more aware and awake. And
you should only take the white pills to drive 12 hours a day. So
there's this big push for road safety, and eventually this guy like has a telethon with Sammy Davis Jr. That's sort of the
Wyman does.
Yeah, Wayman puts this whole thing together.
Wayman, sorry.
And with the highway safety commission or whatever, and that's sort of the end, though. That's like he had reached too far, too high, and it had kind of burned out between his ego and Sammy Davis's ego. It got a little like weird there.
So there was kind of like a honeymoon to this guy's career, and then there was like a crash, or just kind of people were like, no, we got enough bloody, gory movies. We, from car crash videos, we don't need any more.
No, they kept. I mean, they kind of kept making them, but yeah, coming into like the 70s, it wasn't
I think the demand petered out
a little bit. Like it became clear that
I bet it was that damn Ralph Nader.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's different that like when you have social engineering stuff. People in the 70s, people became a lot more wary of it.
Yeah.
Like the 60s was very, like Brady Bunch, McCarthy style, like you're gonna do what we tell you, and then you had the counterculture, and then teens of the 70s were a little more like, I don't know, man, like this is preaching to me.
Give me some tab.
But I think it was also that cars were getting safer and awareness, I think, had already.
I mean, by that time, Nader was definitely out there getting, raising awareness about
also
seatbelts
more than Nader
and
too,
advocating for
McNamara, Nixon's
chief of
staff, was a huge proponent of highway safety, and there's actually an amazing
Too
documentary.
bad he didn't tell Teddy.
I know, right? There's an amazing documentary about generating the safety protocols for highways and his push to get people to try to get people to wear seatbelts. This again a social
it was an awareness campaign, right. And it was also there was a lot of lobbying involved to create laws about this.
Right.
Thank goodness.
McNamara was a numbers guy, like he was a statistician and an economist, and to him it just made sense, but he just couldn't get people to do it because it's a behavioral thing and not a economic.
Well, I think Nader is, though, historically known as the guy that really push that needle. Correct? Am I wrong about that?
He was one of the big advocates.
He's a big advocate. McNamara.
Well, I mean, he was pivotal in making the laws. Like, you got to buckle up. You got to have seatbelts in every car. Like, there weren't even laws that cars had to have seatbelts until Nader came around and started. That's where he made his bones.
Yeah, he made it an issue in politics and stuff.
But but I bet you it was he probably was of an age where he was shown these movies when he was a teenager.
Well, they're still were showing these movies into the 80s.
They made fun of it in the movie Summer School. Yeah, blood on the pavement. Yeah.
And
or blood on the blacktop.
And they still, like, in driver's ed, when I was in driver's ed in the late 90s, they were still showing that type of film, but obviously was not as dramatic.
Right.
And but it would show I remember seeing that style of film. They were like, here's how you drive after 1 beer, after 2 beers, after 3 beers. And they were like swerving into the cones and all this stuff.
Yeah, but it didn't show like a person with a head wound, a real person.
I think there was like maybe 1 or 2 kind of, shocking shots just to shock you straight kind of thing.
I mean, they did branch out into some. There was one movie they made called The Child Molester, which was right off of the heels of a double homicide in Ohio where 2 girls were abducted by this guy and molested and killed.
And since that film came out, nobody's been molested or killed. So good job.
So in the film, they just kind of show these kids getting abducted and chased into the woods. These little girls. Gosh. It's like a weird enactment thing. And then at the end, they show flashes of the bodies being pulled out of the canal or creek or whatever.
The real ones?
Yeah. And horrifying the children.
Ugh. It's like Faces of Death.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Very brutal. And there's a little bit of a backlash in that basically they were, there's this weird rumor that they were making background pornography because they were like the film group they had a whole house where they were cutting and shooting and making all these movies, and so it was sort of they're also pornographers. But where the kernel of that, the sort of basic truth of that, was the dude who committed the double murder said, you don't know the perverted stuff that's going on here. You should go to the bathroom under the Capitol, in the middle of this park. There's this public bathroom. So they put in a false wall and set up a camera with the help of the police. And basically, it was a place where dudes hooked up for rough trade, and so they just had footage to show the police. It's a very much an internal video, but it's just dudes getting dudes off in this public bathroom to show sexual deviance or whatever, so the cops could recognize.
And so this was after they caught the guy who killed the kids,
yeah.
And he was like, "Oh no, I killed some kids, but the real bad guys are in there having sex."
You don't even know tip of the iceberg. The kind of perverts in your midst.
Golly.
So that's
what I did was child's play compared to what those perverts
they were
are doing.
Children that he was playing with. So yes, it was.
So you're saying he went from snuff films to gay porn?
That
was his career trajectory.
Exactly, but
all state sanctioned.
Yeah. No, it was all within with the cooperation. A lot of the actors, it was all amateur stuff. Almost all volunteer actors. They were primarily like getting funding from civic societies to help them put the films together. And, you know, like there's a guy, a local actor, like a stage group. They wanted to do this shot of like where they were dollying over hundreds of bodies, like over a stretch, who were just laid out head to head on the whites or double stripes of a street. And they just ran this dolly over them for like minutes, and like, if you took all the bodies laid end to end, and it's like this crazy thing, it would it would take 6 miles, and by the time you've done watching this, it's gotten even longer, whatever. So, but to get all those people, there was a guy who was an actor and had a local theater, and they said, hey, you want money for your local theater? We'll give you $1 for every head, or $2 for every head that you bring for this thing. And he brought 200 people, and they gave him $100 for his little theater, and they got their crazy shot of people like laid down on the tarmac, or on the blacktop. But yeah, that was so he's. I mean, you could question whether, again, there's a sort of a big like question mark of like, is this pornography? Like, in the sense that you're showing people death, and there may be some titillation to it, and it's at a certain point there's a question as to whether it is truly educational and just exploitative of the deaths that are happening, because other people were doing the same kind of films with dramatization and with implication. A lot of the films prior to this were like flash to black. You just hear them say, my face, and them kind of saying teen-acide, when you kill yourself or some other teen by being a teen,
by
teen-acide.
driving, by suicide.
Teen-acide.
In your looking back at this guy, was there any fallout that you heard of, basically from the victims of, like, my uncle was killed in this car crash and they filmed it, like, that seems to me like someone would have been a little upset about that.
I think kind of like with the photography rumors, basically these were people, a lot of educational documentaries were made by amateur societies and civic societies who had like good intentions throughout. Like, they weren't out there making big bucks. There was a question about like there's rumors about there was all this money and who knows where it went, or there's rumors about they just filmed when they should have pulled the guy out, like a la Nightcrawler or something, right? But a lot of that's just like, these are Christian groups, or these are people who it's a hobby until it takes up all their time.
But
thing.
What about Richard Wayman? Like, what was his motivation for starting this? Was it like morbid fascination, or did he have a higher cause?
I think he was a wannabe cop kind of thing. Like, so he was an older guy and just liked hanging around the cops. Like, he was like semi-retired, and he was an amateur photographer as a hobby, and he just liked being around the cops and kind of talking cop talk and blah, 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 which, some serial killers are also wannabe cops and are into cop stuff or whatever. But, again, I'm not to cast dispersions on Richard Wayman.
But so he was kind of in it initially kind of for the thrill. Like he didn't start out, he wasn't like, oh, these car accidents are terrible. Somebody's got to do something about this. I'm going to take pictures to show how terrible this is. That wasn't how it started.
I think there's an aspect of it where he's saying, you know what, I have this ability to take photos. Can I come along and take some photos? And so there's a little bit more of like, this is interesting. Can I take photos? And they're like, sure, why not? So what the cops are saying to him. So then he's like,
sure, why not? They're dead.
So then he's kind of like, okay, well, maybe I can put this to use. So it goes from being like, I got a camera and I'm around cops and this is like stories to tell, to I can put this to good use and like teach other people about stuff. And again, initially it's more about educating the police themselves. So it's like training videos for how the police should deal with these situations, or like what to expect, and sort of inuring them a little bit against the horrors that they're going to face on the road. And then it becomes a direct to source, like, we're going to shock drivers into behaving properly on the road to stop this. And again, I think their intentions were good. I don't think they were doing anything like maliciously or for like morbid fascination. It's almost more like coroners with a camera kind of thing, who are like, I'm going to trot out this body to teach you guys about something dangerous. Like, I'm going to show you these black and bloody lungs so that you don't smoke, kind of thing.
Yeah, well, that's good. Yeah, because you brought up Nightcrawler because when you were describing it, I was like, that sounds just like the plot of Nightcrawler, which is the Jake Gyllenhaal movie where he plays like a creepy newsman who's basically an ambulance chaser, like who looks for crime just to make the headlines, and stuff like that, and very, very bad ethics or whatever.
There's in the documentary Hell's Highway, which is, I think, Kino Video does it. You can watch it on Fandor, or like Something Weird Video put it out. That one of those sort of like fringe purveyors of odd and weird video and movies. They interview a few different people, and they interview the brother-in-law of Phyllis and the actual reporter who was shooting a lot of this stuff in the documentary. Because Wayman at this point has passed away, and they interviewed one of the police officers, the night shift guy who was in a bunch of the movies and who like worked with Wayman on these, an old cop in Ohio, and they do talk about like that there was a lot of stuff that like the one guy was saying he cut out a lot of some of the worst stuff, and that it was very hard, and the reporter guy was like, when you're in it and you're shooting it, you're worried about lighting, you're worried about catching the shot, you're worried about not being in the way, or when you need to drop the camera and help or whatever. Like he's in reporter mode. He is just a lens, and there's no processing. And it's not until he actually like goes back and watches what he shot that it like hits him.
Wow.
And that was for him where things, and he said like there are some brutal ones where they like, they find a car that's like flipped, like gone off the road and flipped, and like a person's been flung from it, and there's like another body, and they find like wedged in the door a bottle, and they're like, oh, okay, well, where's the baby? So they look everywhere, and they finally lift the car, and there's the baby, and the cops pull it out and give it like mouth to mouth, and it's toast. Like it's not kicking anymore. And so both these dudes are just like, that's brutal and shocking and hard, and it's the kind of stuff that it's so upfront. And when they were doing it, they weren't doctoring a lot of their work. Later, there were imitators who would take photographs of stuff, and it became very like they would paint up the blood to look like more
super
stark.
red. Yeah.
And so there were imitators who were much more exploitative.
Well, I don't think that. I mean, it's hard to. Everybody's got their own idea of when you cross the line, but I kind of feel like they didn't cause the crashes, and as long as they're being respectful to the victims involved and to the people who are trying to help, their intention was for education.
Right.
Correct. In the long run, it was all about. Maybe if we show people enough of this, they're going to finally wise up and start to be smarter on the roads.
And without a doubt, I mean, these images had a lot of power, and I'm sure influenced legislation. I mean, you brought that up, like
baby seats.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now there's baby seats and
car
accidents.
Well, that's the other side too. Is the evolution of the film after this becomes more about car safety, and like they don't show a baby. Like afterwards, what they show is they show a crash test dummy with a high-speed camera inside of the baby flying through the windshield. The baby dummy,
and that's because because they had crash test dummies.
Yeah. Well, because they're running
because
they
learned that they should do that. Yeah,
and it's also car companies putting this stuff out because they can. It's a sales feature for their vehicles, especially as they're being told like, you guys are pushing as high, like you're not going to get 200-mile-an-hour lanes for your cars. Like we aren't going to have an Autobahn in the U.S., so you can't like keep upselling your speed. You can like hint at power, but really there's a certain point where you're like, oh well, people also will buy safety. Like just like they have to have car insurance, they will buy the safety features on our cars.
Yeah. And it's been a long, I mean, no pun intended, it's been a long road, but the car safety in America has like gotten dramatically better since that time period. It's I mean it's having an effect, and every year it's a little bit better.
And now it's like assumed, like no one is questioning car safety. No one wants to backtrack on that stuff.
Yeah.
Everyone is like, of course.
I think where
Well, Julian, you should go back to where I grew up because they're like, we don't need seatbelts. I hear stories all the time where a seatbelt breaks a guy's neck.
Yeah.
And if I was wearing a seatbelt when I had that wreck, I would have died.
Yeah.
you saw what the Japanese did with those airbags trying to kill us all, them terrorists.
The first thing they do is they go and they hacksaw the headrest out of the
But soon car safety is going to be about the safety of the automatic.
Yeah. Who's
AI drivers.
exactly?
And then it's
whose
gonna be
software's better.
One, it's
Who's
going to be
safer.
are the networks secure?
When is it going to be like the Demolition Man, where the whole thing just, it's just like cream,
foam inside?
Yeah, foam inside.
That was safety foam. It just saved your life.
If you want to see J.G. Ballard's classic, his book Crash, and then the movie they made of it, there's plenty of cream after every accident. Hey.
Safety cream.
So do you have
Safety sauce.
One particular film?
Do you have a favorite?
A favorite. I didn't want to say favorite.
I mean, I would go in word of caution on any of these. You're going to find a lot of them are publicly available. Signal 30, Red Death, Wheel of Terror, any of these. They all kind of have the same name. But
I think Wheels of Tragedy is his masterpiece.
You think so?
That he really hit his stride.
I mean, I would watch The Child Molester. It's weird and messed up.
You mean?
Is it called Child Molester?
It's called The Child
Okay,
Molester.
let's be clear. Okay.
No. I think Matt was asking about the Cars ones.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Not
Go find the Deviants in the bathroom one that they showed just for the police.
So here's a question for you. Remember we found that website a long time ago that has all those public domain movies available for everyone to download?
Archive.org, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Are these on there since they were a lot of them were mostly publicly funded, I imagine?
Well, I think that the highway safety or the first family, I don't know whatever the name is, family highway safety place, it was a privately run company.
But if they're not on there, they might still be on there, but they're definitely on YouTube.
Right.
Most of them.
Oh, also, I do want to know.
Yeah, but no, I want to own them. I want to have them.
You can
What if-
download them.
Wayman was a
I'll show you how.
Wayman was a really big lobbyist and pushed seatbelt safety pretty heavy and was part of that push as well.
Good job,
so just
fella.
a note that he was part of the legislation to get him on all cars and all this stuff. He was definitely one because it's good for his promotion to keep that going, but also, he was a car. He was a
Yeah, but
car
he
safety
finally
guy.
was just like, with all these seatbelts, I don't have
But
anybody to film.
I mean, a lot of these are on YouTube.
Yeah.
Probably Vimeo.
Do you know if these films were shown nationwide?
Yeah, they were pretty commonly distributed.
Because I wonder if they had some, direct or subconscious influence on
the horror films?
the horror films of the 70s, because it's a whole generation of kids got exposed to this gore. Because some of these pictures look straight out of
Texas Chainsaw Massacre in particular, yeah.
That level of gore, the images, they just look like a lot of horror films I saw from that period.
Yeah, I mean, that kind of photography had still been around. Faces of Death, there were magazines you could get that had that stuff in it before they were putting out VHSs ever.
Wow.
But
was that? So that was the same time period.
That was before that. I'm talking because people had horrors of war, World War II photography, and you know what I mean. All access to horrible pictures is not something new to Faces of Death or new to the
But
internet.
that one you had to seek out, whereas this was being shown to you in the classroom. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I guess so. There's definitely talk of so it's 1950s, maybe. I mean, a lot of these guys. Yeah, I could see that.
But at the same time, you were also seeing a lot of that stuff from the Vietnam War.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
that was in the 70s.
That book that we read when Jaco Farino was here, and he had us read this book, he wasn't name checked specifically, but I do believe that it was mentioned in the Romero section that he was heavily influenced by a lot of these safety films.
Well, because there were definitely ones that.
And he was working in public TV at the time too.
He might have edited some or something.
Yeah,
like that.
something like
Because there were also.
Well, no, Romero they said was working for Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood.
Yeah.
In Pittsburgh.
But there were other safety videos for construction. I mean, they still make these OSHA style stuff before there was even OSHA.
Yeah, when I was a kid, that was the train. It was the railroad track safety.
Yeah, have any of you guys like watched any of these films like in class? I know I have seen like a sort of a PCP one, where the guy's like running around naked.
Or is it angel dust?
Yeah.
In the later 70s, they got weird.
Yeah.
Like real weird. With like the Sonny Bono marijuana one. I don't know if you guys remember that.
Is that Reefer Madness?
No, it's just called Marijuana. It's like him talking to you about marijuana use.
About how you shouldn't? Sonny
Yeah,
Bono
or
was
you
telling
just
you
be
that?
like, it was more about like, hey, you know what? You should.
You know,
be
if you're gonna do this,
informed and
be
make
cool about it.
Be informed and make your choices. All right, like be cool. That was kind of like that's the sentiment.
There you go. That at least that's more honest, because I was like, there ain't no way Sonny Bono wasn't smoking a lot of reefer.
No. It was a little more like, hey, you don't have the full information on this stuff. Like,
Yeah, make sure you get it from me.
I'll keep you high. But yeah, it was yes. There were loads and loads of them. The ones I remember watching were more like sex ed. You had a lot of them. I don't know that we had any that we like watched in earnest.
Yeah.
A lot of them were more like, here's a science video, or I don't.
We had laser discs of certain things.
We actually have film strip in my school.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, like a
We had like film strips. A lot of those would be like
Not
books
films,
and stuff.
yeah,
like ding.
No. I mean, I'm sorry, not film strip, but like the actual film.
Yeah,
yeah.
like on the projector. Yeah,
Like.
Yeah, they'd wheel it in on the cart on the day, and they'd pull
yeah.
that. Yeah,
The
pull
good
up
old
the
days.
map and pull down the.
light a cigarette.
Yeah, and then we would
That's
watch.
when being in the AV club meant something.
Yeah, boy.
And we watched something on like alcohol, and it was like the coolest thing, though.
So we didn't really have any. I mean, we had a bunch of little movies. I don't remember any specifically on driving, but an interesting thing is when I was a kid, down by the high school baseball field, there were these old trailers that were the temporary like driver's ed classrooms at one point, but they were all kind of abandoned and dilapidated. So, as a rite of passage, you'd have to kind of break in and like walk around in there, stuff like that. And it was all film. It was like wall-to-wall film. And like, after several years of kids in there, it was just like, as soon as you walk in, it's just celluloid everywhere. It was really something else.
You almost said cellophane, like they went in and ate candy all day.
It's like, what is this, prom?
Just ropes of safety sauce everywhere.
Sorry. Yeah, no. But I remember that very distinctly. 35 millimeter. It was like really big stuff. Because I think it was they had these booths where you would. You had like a
like
car.
simulators.
Yeah, it was like a car thing, and the simulation was done with film.
Yeah.
Somehow.
So you run over people with the.
Yeah, I don't know how it worked. I was too
Like reaction time.
It was like the original Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah.
It was a film projection.
VR.
And I wonder if it like activated a different projector if you made a certain choice and it would send you down a different road or something. I wonder how that works. Because it would have had to have had different, like it's not like you would have to always crash.
Well, you have to research that.
Yeah, well,
report
or
back.
I'll just imagine how it worked and it'll be better in my mind.
There are loads and loads of these films. They're all like, for the most part, kind of corny. Basically, be like, especially even these horrible ones with the like gross imagery have weird narrations that are kind of creepy and add to the mystique. It's the kind of stuff when like
the like hackneyed actors also added like a weird.
Well, that made it more creepy.
You have you have 2 dead on the road.
Exactly.
2 signal 30s. Okay.
So
all right. Got it. Okay. Car 5. We have 2. And they're like obviously reading from this pad of paper.
Sorry, ma'am.
What's your
husband
number?
has died.
Okay. Bye.
I know, and that's a crazy thing. It was like a blurred line, like kind of, I don't know, so surreal.
Well, what's weird is hearing that those people were the actual cops too. I mean,
Yeah,
that makes
some
it
of them
even
were.
weirder. Where it's just like, we have to film this thing, and this guy Joe, I've been pals with him for a while. He really wants to get on camera. Let's do it.
Yeah.
And Joe has really had to do this stuff, but his acting sure doesn't seem like he's been through it.
How?
I mean, that's what like disturbed me more than the dead bodies and faces of death or something, Which my
like
my
hamness of
brother
it.
made me watch that with him.
There's something about the earnestness of these films that's different than the Faces of Death. And for those of you out there who don't know, before the internet, there was the internet and it was called Faces of Death. It was like this weird thing that everybody heard about, that everybody got their hands on these VHSs of this, there were several, I think at least 7 of them, right?
7
and it was full-length movies, and it was kind of like set up like a documentary, but
and
it was
banned in certain countries.
Oh, yes, of course.
Yeah.
Illegal in certain states, yeah. But it was all this different found footage or gathered footage of different dead things.
And some of it was fake, too.
Yeah.
Right.
Which I just learned recently.
The first one...
Definitely part 3, there was some stuff where I was like, oh, that's definitely fake.
The first one is like half all animal slaughterhouse stuff, too. And that's pretty... I mean, it's, that's a brutal thing to watch, like animal... Because, when it comes to people, like...
Oh, Mr. Mister really hated the part with the rabbits.
Yeah.
The rabbits one? Did you see that one?
Like John Malkovich
was that a furrier?
Crushing them.
They put a camera in one of their bathrooms, and they're just like going at it.
Yeah.
It's deviant.
And the guy who was killing the rabbits said, "You think this is bad? You should see what they're doing in the bathrooms."
No, I recently just saw like one with the rabbits, but it was like it was played backwards.
What?
So
they all lived at the end. That's so great.
Like this. Yeah, exactly.
So it's someone like spitting out food into a plate, and then the plate becomes a live rabbit.
No. The basically. Rabbit one was for fur or something. They were killing them to be fur.
And it's really weird watching it backwards because like it makes you think about it even more. I don't know. There's some weird psychological thing going on.
Was there sound? Because that would creep it out too.
No. You just speaking German right now.
Yeah. Yes. All right. So Richard Wayman, kind of a dude. Eventually, I think it was like in the mid '70s that his sort of star burnt out.
So let's think of all the things that this guy did. He saved people from all dying from cars.
Yeah,
he created like really great a generation of really great horror films afterwards.
Likely, yeah,
created Faces of Death.
Well, yeah, I don't know.
Single-handedly saved babies all over the world. I think he did a pretty good job, guy.
Yeah, he did a lot of good.
Yeah.
And then he
sure is a dude.
Oh yeah, and he also caught a bunch of gay guys.
That's true.
In the bathroom.
Well, he just helped police identify them in case they went that way.
Gotcha.
Like, hey, you know what? You don't need to hide. None of these guys need to hide. That's definitely not.
Is that what that movie ended up?
If only it was, that would be nice. But it's more like pornography then. But yeah, you can go find those movies. All the stuff exists out there. Again, a lot of these are really fun. If you could even get like the not gory ones and put, people would collect them and put them on a tape, and it's kind of thing you have a party and everyone comes over and laughs and has a good time. They're good to they are so earnest and usually amateurishly and weirdly done that they're doing unique stuff that's kind of funny and weird and
They used to do that on Pee-wee's Playhouse special. They had a couple of them that.
I mean, there's no association to the menstruation one with the girl with Down syndrome.
Oh no, that was a different company that was doing that. That might have been Vintage maybe or King Crown.
That was okay.
A Royal Crown. I don't know, whatever. But but I think
King Features.
That was But do you remember when we walked into this class and Robert Smigel was there and we walked in and we were going to see Robert Smigel, but he was also looking for the room that he was supposed to speak in, and then we both, you were with me, and we walked into, and they were showing this film at SVA.
Oh, yeah?
And Rob Smigel just, looked in, and he's like, this ain't the spot I'm supposed to be in. But, he knew what it was.
Yeah.
And I knew that you knew what it was.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah, that's a really good one too. It's this weird educational documentary about menstruation, but the girl who they have kind of playing the main character clearly has some sort of a learning disability, and it's pretty weird and it's very
surreal.
Yeah.
But was it for students with disabilities?
No, it was to teach girls about menstruation.
That was the video that they showed when they made all the kids in the 5th grade go out of the room.
Yeah,
all the boys have to go to the library.
And girls get to watch this and be
and we're like, oh man, girls got it so cool. They get to watch a movie. And we
got to
go read stupid books quietly.
That they...
Yeah, that happened to you too, right? They have.
Oh, absolutely. That was what happened. Yeah. It's like, okay, all the boys have to go to the library.
To the library.
Yeah.
For us,
Why
it was,
to the
it
library?
was split in
Because
that.
where else are you going to go?
Well, see, for us, they just put us
Cafeteria?
like the boys go in
Good
one
idea.
classroom, the girls go in the other, and the boys get the boys video and the girls get the girls
Oh,
video.
we never got a video. We had to figure that shit out ourselves.
Ours was a boy video.
What did they show?
What
in
was
the
it
boy
about?
video?
Like
It was
boy
like a bunch
menstruation?
of like guys in a bathroom. Kind of shot like cinema verite.
And then the cops come in and bust them.
Yeah, and then they get in on it. I learned a lot in that class.
Man, 5th grade was educational. Back before
The girls
Obama
don't
ruined
know what they're
everything.
missing.
Back before Obama came in and
Yeah,
took God out of schools.
that's right.
Yeah,
As long as Davos brings them back, right?
let's do it.
All right. So, any more questions about Wayman? Would you guys watch these again? You guys have probably seen them over the course of time.
Course of time, yes.
I think it's that if you're an aspiring filmmaker or studying it, look those up. They're neat. I mean, it's a really interesting exercise, and I have all this footage. What am I going to do with it?
Also, amateur filmmaking.
Yeah.
Like just weird people.
And if
with
you're an
weird
actor and you
solutions.
want to see like how bad you can do, watch them.
Yeah, or how good you are in comparison.
That's true. You want to feel good.
Yeah, I have to watch them before I can fall asleep every night.
Fill my head with
I'm compelled.
dreams.
I'm compelled to.
Yeah, otherwise I just can't do it.
Or, like when you're babysitting somebody.
So,
yeah.
so your son or nephew or niece is about to get their driver's license, getting pretty close. Do you show them one of these?
I show them like 5 years in advance. Like,
Yeah.
You want to get in the car with me? You got to watch this video.
Yeah.
And I'm going to have a drink while we do it. While you watch it.
Come down to the basement to where my film is.
Keep
on film camera.
My movie called Child Molester.
I thought this was about a car. Shut up.
There's a car in it, I swear.
You're going to be in the car.
What are we talking about?
No.
So hey, way to go,
Do-gooders.
guy. You did good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's my do-gooder. Good job. Richard Wayman had a career from the 50s into the 70s, and his stuff is all over YouTube. You can see a documentary. It's on Fandor, which you can subscribe to through Amazon or through your Apple TV or just straight up through the Fandor website. Just another like movie screening service, and they have the documentary Hell's Highway, which gives an overview of this period and specifically of Richard Wayman and the First Highway Safety or whatever it was called group, and Phyllis Vaughn, his partner in the venture.
Cool.
Yeah,
Q?
that's my thing.
Thanks for informing us about this guy, Holt.
You're welcome.
It was truly new to me, even though I'd seen some of those. I didn't know it was all kind of one guy or one.
Well, no, I mean,
entity.
these were being made all over the country.
Yeah.
And being made before him. Some were state-sponsored, some were Christian groups, some were civic groups. All kinds of different people were making them for all different
But
reasons.
he was a real auteur in the movement.
He was, in terms of putting in actual footage of stuff in a way like where you're going and capturing it, like not just because some people would get like slabs at a corner or whatever. Like this was scene reporting footage used in this manner. That was new.
I want to go home.
I'll take you home pretty soon.
I want to go now.
This will only take a minute. Come on out.
Please, mister.
You do what I say, and then I'll take you home. Hey! Keep quiet or I'll kill both of you.
Such a question, there are many possible answers, such as hard work.
Years ago, the Holy
Feel I'm alone in this whole
Hey everybody, thanks for listening to the first in our Do-Gooders episode. I was one of your hosts, John Holt. You can find me on Twitter at Lord Joho, and you can find me on Instagram at Bored Ghost, and that's kind of it.
That's bored. Well, I guess you can do it either way.
B-O-R-E-D. Yeah, probably
you
not
type in
AO.
either.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
something. Keith, where can people find-
B-O-R-E-D, though.
Yeah.
Okay. Check it out in the liner notes, y'all. My name's Keith Vincent. You can find some of my stuff on my brand new, newly updated, hopefully real soon, website, earthlingkeith.com.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Shortened URL.
No, it was always earthlingkeith.com. It's just I used the
before-
Tumblr one to have my updated stuff. But I've had earthlingkeith.com since 2007, I believe. But 2009 is when my last website went up. So take a look now before it's too late.
And I'm Julian Kitch. You can find me on Instagram or Twitter at BeautifulJules. And how about you, Mister? Where can we find you?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram and let's see, Mr. Insta. So MR Insta, or on Tumblr with and that'll be Mr. Draws.tumblr.
All right. And gang, is anybody? This will be going up in early March. So is anybody doing a March MODOK?
I'll be definitely doing a
Yes.
March MODOK
Awesome.
Madness.
Sure, I'll do one.
We'll put links to the March MODOK Madness blog. Our buddy
Brendan Tobin.
Brendan put it together.
And Pedro.
And Pedro runs it now because
And
Brendan doesn't get
And
any
if you're not
credit.
aware, MODOK is a Marvel supervillain who is like a giant head in a floating chair, basically, and he's hilarious. And all of the different drawings that show up in the month of March are also fantastic.
Yeah, and
Also,
there's years worth of
back catalog, yeah.
to check out.
One of the it's just MODOK's just one of those goofy characters where
It's just so much
thank
fun
goodness
to draw.
somebody did it. Yeah, and just the name alone stands for mental organism designed only for killing. So,
MODOK.
So that's what MODOK stands for.
And
so.
his lady is Modam.
yeah.
All right, so
And he mind blasts
he
people.
mind blasts people. So before we roll out of
There
here,
are two ladies. One's Miss MODOK or Madam MODOK.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
Not
there were
Modam?
two. Yeah,
Ah, nice.
Modam and Miss MODOK. Yeah.
So, Keith, what was new to you this week?
So a lot of new stuff. I saw this movie Hell or High Water, which I actually really liked quite a bit. Had Chris Pine in it, but the one I'm going to talk about because we were talking about road safety and like stuff people do to educate kids is a movie called Bernie. I don't know if you've seen it, a Richard Linklater film. I don't know. I mean, I remember seeing the ads when it came out, but
Is
for
this
some
Jack
reason,
Black?
Jack Black.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I didn't see it until recently, and man, that's a really fun, interesting movie. It's just really interestingly, it's based on a true story, and a lot of the people that it was affected by it are actually in the movie. So it's kind of set up a little documentary style in that you have people talking about the actual guy, and so instead of having like really cheap reenactments, then they have like a really good, interestingly made film in there. So it's really cool. But what reminded me of it was in the movie, Bernie is this undertaker guy or funeral director, I guess is the PC name. He volunteers at all the stuff. He's just like a really big community organizer guy. And one of the things that they did was they would stage these crash things at the high school, these like crash events for kids to witness so that they know not to like drive drunk and stuff. And so that was one of the things that he would help organize every year is the pseudo crash, and he would come out as the as the funeral director and take the body and put it in the hearse, as part of the thing. But Jack Black,
he's really good.
He's one of these people that a lot of people either love or hate, but for some reason, I really root for him, and I think he's really great in the movie. He really gets into the character. It's very well done. It's a good, interesting movie.
Yeah, I think it's also on Netflix. It's been on my queue for like 2 years, and I don't know why. I just don't get around
a little
to it.
like recent sad news. So the dude, it's about a murder, and
Spoiler alert.
well, I mean it's kind of
no, yeah,
but
it's in the preview. It was in the preview. Yeah.
But Linklater actually, like, through the release of this movie or whatever, he got released on this, sort of pending, it's like more litigation or more information, but the part of it was that he had to live he was released into Linklater's custody, so he lived in the garage in this apartment. On Linklater's at Linklater's house.
Wow.
Right next to Ethan Hawke's kid.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that recently, unfortunately, he was sent back to jail.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Well,
Why?
you'll have to watch the movie to know the
judge,
details.
The judge, basically the judge said, okay, he was released pending decisions, and decisions were made, and he's back in jail. So, But again, that does not the journey and how he gets to those two places I just told you about is amazing, and it's a really interesting story and very much a conversation starter too.
Yeah, every now and then I just forget about Linklater, and then I'll watch a movie of his, and I'm like, golly, that guy,
so good.
I just
Yeah.
love his stuff, and it's all so subtle. Like he's subtly great.
Yeah.
And I didn't see Boyhood or whatever it's called.
Or like that great movie that's about a band of just kids that are just kind of no good.
Yeah.
But they
And
get together and they
mhm.
just baseball the hell out of it.
Mhm.
And they kind of like get over themselves through baseball. And Billy Bob Thornton's there and he just kind of helps them.
Did
get
Linklater make that
He did
remake?
that.
Bad News Bears?
Yeah.
Why make that movie?
What? You love everything he does.
I didn't say I love it. I say I forget about him, and then I realize, dude's good.
And then you realize, oh wait, he made that Bad News Bear remake. Never mind.
No, I mean I didn't even see that movie, so maybe it's good. But to me, the Bad News Bears movie is one of a kind. No one's ever going to make a movie anything like this ever again. The original Bad News Bears with the guy from
Grumpy Old Man.
Yeah.
Gary Oldman.
Was Jodie Foster in that too?
No, it's the girl. It looks a lot like Jodie Foster, but it's somebody else.
Yeah, maybe I'm thinking of something else.
I think it's the girl that ended up playing in the Partridge Family.
Okay, I guess.
No, I don't remember who it is. It's not her though. Tatum O'Neal.
Oh,
It's Tatum
yeah.
O'Neal.
Oh yeah.
Oh, from Paper Moon?
Yeah, she's the young girl in it.
Yeah.
But at the end of the movie, he just gives a bunch of beers to the kids, and they're like, "We
Yeah.
didn't win the game. Fuck it, let's get." And kids are drinking beers. That's the end of the movie.
Yeah.
That's the bad news for the Bears.
And that's that movie will never get made again.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
Well, it
That's-
was Mighty Ducks.
I didn't want to bring that up, but
But anyway, Linklater,
Yeah.
good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
Bernie,
Had you
movie
guys seen
Bernie.
it? Mister, had you seen that one yet?
Which one?
Bernie.
yes, I did. I thought it was excellent.
And what did you think of it as a person who worked in the dead people industry?
And in Funeral Home, yeah, there was that connection there. And not the killing part, though.
But the freezing a body.
Yeah, I don't. It's an interesting movie because it makes you, like you said, like kind of root for him, even though he's he takes that. Well, I don't want to spoiler alert, but
Well, I
he
mean
takes
that's the whole town is
Yeah.
with you on
Yeah,
that same concept.
Yeah, and
It's
you
so
could really,
weird.
It's so weird because you could really empathize,
Yeah.
with the
Yeah.
character, and I think that's where that magic is. Once you can empathize with any character.
But then again, that's all his side of the story, and everyone else's. Who knows?
yeah,
Well-
but with
well,
with a sweet personality like his, though, you gotta,
I know.
Well, the,
John Wayne Gacy was a clown. He made children laugh.
Did you ever see the
to
documentary Now? The documentary Now show with Fred Armisen? They did one where it was like basically like a thin blue line kind of take. It was like one about this guy who. They set up the guy who, and they're just like, I just hate that guy. So we just decided to pin it on him. That's the whole like documentary is like, it was so obviously the other guy that did it, but they were just like, but listen to the guy, listen to him talk. You just want to punch him in the face. And that's kind of how this movie was, and how people really saw it in real life. The situation.
All right. So, gang, you can find out more about Bernie and Richard Wayman and links to the stuff we talked about if I remember to put it up on the website.
Yeah. Maybe you
newtoyoushow.com.
Hey, that would be new to me if you did.
Yeah.
Hey.
When was the last time you actually went to the website, Jules?
I go every Monday to listen to us
Yeah,
because
so
I'm a narcissist.
yeah. Hey man, you halfway to being president.
Yeah, now I just have to stop caring about people.
That's right, and find a shadow.
No,
puppet
but you have
master.
to really care about what they think about you.
Yeah. I found this. So you guys know I love the movie Mom and Dad Save the World.
Mm-hmm.
So there's this perfect clip I've been trying to find to put up on Facebook, but it's very similar. It's a planet of idiots who's ruled by Todd, the biggest idiot of all, and I feel like his reign is what this Trump presidency is going to be like. But it's like everything is there to kind of fluff him up, to kind of like make him, all the buildings are named after him, and it makes it really confusing because everything's named after Todd. But there's a scene where Terry Garr says, are we feeling a little insecure, Todd? And he goes, oh, insecure? If I was so insecure, why would I be speaking so loudly? Eh, Marge? What do you think of me now? And it's like, it's just, what's going on politically in our world. So Mom and Dad Save the World.
It's
Go
also
see
funny
that.
because Al Franken is also a senator now.
Yeah, but he wasn't in that movie.
Oh, he wasn't? Oh, who was it?
John.
Who was? Yeah, it was John Lovitz.
Oh.
Was the yeah.
Yeah, the critic.
Yeah.
I
Who's
forgot.
actually
I forgot it was Lovitz.
skewing a little right wing these days.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, he and his old buddy Dennis Miller, I guess, still swap political stories or
I
something.
think once you get a certain age, this is, this click.
I
Or
think
you
it's
go
a
like-
certain age with a certain amount of money.
Man, I can't wait till I
Yeah,
get
yeah,
there.
like
I'll
once you
feel so
start-
much better.
Yeah. I think like once you start getting to this like financial state where suddenly that amount of taxes really is
What about
like
Victoria
yikes.
Jackson or what was her?
Yeah, I mean she's the same crew.
I don't think she got rich though. I don't think she made it. Before
Well,
she
made
went off
enough.
The deep
They
end.
they made enough money that those taxes are for
she
real.
I thought she was the one where they found her through SNL. And
Who
got
found her?
the student loan officers.
No. That was Molly Shannon.
Oh, really?
That was Molly Shannon. Yeah, that was her story. She talked about on Saturday Night Live on the news part. She says she talks about like not paying her student loans, and then somebody from the student loans saw it and went after her.
Wow.
All right.
Superstar.
So let's see. You can check out the website. I don't know if there's other stuff.
Oh, we've said all the
follow
stuff.
Follow us on iTunes. Rate and review. Actually, like that's
Yeah.
a big thing. Go
Leave a comment.
Leave a comment. Rate us. The more rates we get, the more easy it is to find it. Share it. Go to Facebook and share links to the show. Just let people know about it. We don't do much promotion. We do it because we like to do this, and
we like each other.
the more people who know about it, the more people who will get to learn about new stuff, and the more feedback we get from you guys, the better. If you're even out there.
So feed us back. Feed us. Feed us back.
So next
Are you
week,
here, mister? Give
Yeah.
us a review on iTunes. Come on, man.
we're gonna roll into another.
We know you got that iTunes juice.
No, I actually written one up, and then I'm like, this is a masterpiece, and then I just like kind of
You're
closed
like,
the
no,
book.
I'm saving it for myself.
I'm saving it. I'm saving it for a good day.
This is for the right podcast.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna give my prize away to any podcast.
I was gonna write something
You know,
like
you only get one review.
I was gonna write something like John Holt told me to write this.
He put a review
But-
that said my picture should be on top.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there's like a really good comment from a guy called Juan Miguel Holtez, like a super nice comment.
Yeah. Good. I need to
mean,
read his
from our Spanish listener, Juan Miguel
Holtez.
Yeah, he's the Spanish listener because I'm not listening. So he's the one.
We're numero uno in España, so
Yeah.
Well, Andrew Keiko, if you're out there listening, this is a shout out to you because I ran into him the other day and he's like, I should listen to that podcast. And I'm like, well, okay, I'll test you. So Andrew, leave a review if you hear this.
oh yeah, we're coming for you. All right, so next week we're gonna go into the second of our do-gooders topic. Who's gonna be up on plate? Jules, you're up.
Yeah.
All right. I hope it's really like heartwarming and really fun.
Yeah, man. It's
Yeah, I
gonna
mean,
be the
after-
There's
best.
so much good to
I mean,
be
after
done
I'm
in
talking
the
about
world.
pulling like dead babies out from under a car, we gotta have something uplifting.
That's
Jules.
right.
Yeah, that's right.
That's
So
right.
what's
it going to be? Is it going to be
What's on deck?
something about a person who
gonna
plants a
be-
bunch of flowers?
It's gonna
and-
be the documentary White Helmets that's available on Netflix.
Oh, cool. Is it about giving kids helmets so when they ride their scooters they don't hurt themselves?
It's about guys who save babies from the
Oh,
rubble.
good. Oh, cool. Like when they
Yeah.
fall over in the playground, or what's the deal?
From Barney Rubble.
You'll have to tune in next week to find out.
Oh man, it
All right.
sounds great.
So
Sounds
that's
really
that's White
heartwarming.
Helmets on Netflix.
Yeah,
documentary,
and
42 minutes long.
I think it's even less than that. Maybe with credits. It's like a half hour.
It's like 38 minutes or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good 30 minutes.
It's a good one, and it's very relevant.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very.
And not at all heart wrenching.
Yep.
Not at all soul crushing.
And again, I'm assuming that
no, it's people crushing, not.
Yeah.
Maybe their souls too. I don't know.
Yeah.
we are assuming, of course, that whoever finds this and that the recording has survived the nuclear slag pile that it's melted under.
It will. It's in the cloud,
I mean,
baby. It's in the cloud.
It can be an educational film as well.
It is.
Yeah.
It is
It really
educational.
is, yeah.
All right.
Right.
So next week, more do-gooders with white helmets on Netflix. Jules will be up on deck. Thanks, everybody, for listening. It may not be new, but maybe it was new to you.
My face! Break time.
It's all about the music. This pitiful life is all about the music.
Be with him together forever, without the limitation of time ever again. So the second coming of the Lord is not dead. They're two separate entities.